I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry that I brought you into this. I just wanted things to be the way they used to be. That's my brother, Will.
I could use some help.
My wife needs this surgery.
This is real life.
How's that right? You put your life down on the line for this country? You leave your family, your home? How much do you need?
231.
How about more? 32 million. I need an extra man.
I came to you for a loan.
Look, have I ever gotten you anything that I couldn't get you out of? It's time for you to do something for your family. What can I do you for, officer? We're just doing a transfer in the back. I'll let you in 20 minutes.
If I could just get it done real quick, because I'm on the clock. Promise not to rob the place.
Seriously, because that would be bad for my job.
I promise.
All right, okay. All right,
Okay,
come on.
all right.
Okay.
Let's go, D.
You are all gonna have the greatest story to tell at dinner tonight. Get out! Don't shoot a car! Go, 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 go!
Lock everything down. Nothing gets out.
Hello.
Hi.
So, I would like to start asking you about how was for you to be part of this like Michael Bay movie that has like the expected like great action sequences and the chases and everything, but also very interesting characters because I don't know, people don't necessarily go to see a Michael Bay movie because of the characters, right? But in this case, something quite special there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, her character at the center of the piece really makes the whole film, you know, to me. I mean, the relationship between the two brothers is essential to the movie, and it's something I really loved. But that added piece of this EMT struggling with her own emotional journey in the midst of it, when they all meet up, is the thing that I think really clinched the whole movie for me and why I wanted to do it. And working with Michael Bay, I just heard so many stories about what that's like.
And they're all true.
And they're all kind of true. I mean, but there's something about him that he's stuff of legend, you know, he's stuff of sort of like Hollywood legend. And I think, I don't know how you feel, but to be a little part of that is an honor in a way.
Totally.
And I wanted to experience it.
Totally. It's the same, you know, it's quite interesting to, I remember when my agent sent me the script, she's like, I'm not going to tell you, just read it. I was like, but who's directing? She's like, I'm not going to tell you. And so I started reading it and I was like, this is really good. And I just started thinking in my mind like names and names and names. And then she said Michael Bay. I was like, wait, what? Are you sure? Because also, if you remember reading the script, originally it's not as explosive as a movie is.
Yeah.
It's more of a dynamic between characters. It really is way, way, way more focused on development in between emotions. But that's why actually when I read the script and I could envision what he could add to the film, it made a lot of sense to me because I was like, okay, the characters and the bones are there. And then you add the movie magic that Michael Bay brings and it really makes a great action film. And I just, you know, I was excited to be part of the cinematic universe, as he said. I grew up in the 90s and Bad Boys. I mean, every single movie, The Rock, all these movies that really defined a generation and a very iconic moment. It's always an honor to be part of a filmmaker that really has left a dent in the cinematic universe on that level.
So I say your character is a paramedic named like Cam Thompson, like Camille, I think. I know she's not necessarily Latina, right? But there's somebody talks about enchiladas when she's around it. So
Hey,
I don't know
listen,
if that's
everyone
something
likes
subtle.
enchiladas. It's not just Latinos.
I know. You like enchiladas?
I do like enchiladas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm never going to turn down a good enchilada.
No,
or really
why
an
would you?
enchilada, to be honest.
In
It doesn't
general,
have to be good.
yeah. You're just like, this
That's kind of
feels-
the best thing about enchiladas.
Yeah.
They don't really have to be that
They're
good.
heartwarming.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this feels like home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's very often that I get to read scripts that, you know, there's Maria and, you know, Marisol, and it's really hard because I mean, I do believe that things are changing and things are moving in the right direction. But being in the U.S. for the last 10 years, I've seen night and day process for sure. Like, I mean, when I moved to America, I think my first year, which was 2012, I auditioned twice for a movie, and I auditioned for like Paul Blart, or like, what's that movie?
Paul Blart Mall Cop?
Yeah, Mall Cop, and it was like the Latina, whatever, and it was in like a meaty, I mean, I didn't read meaty roles until like probably 3 years ago. And so when you're reading a script that really brings a female character to the forefront and with emotion and a lot of just quite dynamic and emotional, but also not one-layered. And I feel like we shy away, especially with Latinas, we shy away of vulnerability. It's either a very maternal vulnerability or I'm a badass. And I just felt, wow, this woman has a lot of layers. We see her do something quite heroic and then becoming quite unlikable quite quick. And then she just goes through all these emotions, and ultimately, yeah, he didn't have to go Latina, and I really don't know why he did it, but I'm very grateful he thought of me, and I met an EMT, a paramedic right now. She's 27 years old. She started her career straight out of high school. She's one out of 2 Latinas in her field where she works, and she started with the fires all over California, and then straight into the pandemic. And she was crying right now, and she just was saying, you know, it's really hard to find women that identify as Latinas, and we're not a cartoon and a horrible version. And, you know, I was terrified taking on to this role because I just wouldn't feel like I was going to be up to the task. And I still don't believe, but I just, when you meet someone that feels like seen, she's like, there's girls like me that I feel seen. That's what made it quite magical and special.
What about your character? Because, yeah, he's supposedly the main villain, but he's not so
He's
bad,
so
you know?
likable.
He's likable. There's some reasons what he's doing, and then at the same time you have this it's a combination, right? Like she said, her character is not perfect, but then you go to Boyle Heights and you have these like crazy cholos.
Yes.
That, I don't know if some people at Boyle Heights are going to be like saying, oh well, you're only showing the guys. I mean, there's always a chance to like hurt someone, you know. But the movie is so like Angelino, and at the same time, it shows different aspects, different personalities.
Yeah.
How much were you working in your character? Because there's some probably mental issues to involve. I mean, the way he behaves, right? I mean, you have to do your homework too.
Well, yes and no. I mean, what I liked fundamentally about the character, without giving too much away about the movie, is that he had to shape himself. You know, he's born into a family of bank robbers, right? So, that's his family's business. And so that's just what he takes for granted. It's what he does. It's his day job. When his brother comes to him, he loves his brother, his adopted brother. It's the only person who ever really saved him and showed him what real connection was. And they had been apart for a while. So when he comes back, he says, I can get you, I can help you, I can get you what you want. I can be that person for you. And then over the course of the movie, as everything goes to pot, you know, he then realizes, I think, that the only way to save his brother is to go all the way to the end and make himself into the bad guy. And that's what I really liked about the story and the journey of it. And so for me, it always came from that intention.
And then it was also like probably very challenging to do, to show all of that, and then have all those dynamics between the characters while you were like in a vehicle that was like just like moving so fast. Unless it was simulated, but it looks very real.
No,
like
it's
real. It's real.
It's real.
No, it's real.
It's real.
It's really real.
I mean, to add to what Eiza said, I think for me, when we were acting in there, it was hard to act in an ambulance. So all it made me think about was how hard it was to actually do the job of an EMT and save people's lives in that much space. I mean, there's no space in there. And when we shot a scene, if there were 3 actors, it meant there were probably 8 people in there to capture that.
Right.
So we were always knocking against things and getting out of each other's way, and just it was like
I mean, talk about intimacy and like a fast crash course of getting to know each other as a cast. And you got to feel very comfortable doing that as well. And I think that, you know, it is, but it adds something so special. And I keep saying this, and I'm sure Michael would hate to hear this, but I think Michael Bay in a small budget is the best Michael Bay, because it's where he becomes creative. When you sort of let him loose and gets access to anything he needs, is where he sort of, he becomes a little bit more comfortable. And I feel like the uncomfortable,
hate that you say that.
this film is engaging is because he had to get really creative. He had to come up with forms of filming this movie on specific budget with a specific space in a specific moment in time. And all these things add a new version of Michael that I think makes it quite interesting. And he really has to rely on good characters and good performances, because then if he doesn't have 100 billion explosions around it, he can't hide the movie. And I think that was, you see it in The Rock, you see it in 13 Hours. He does it, and then when he taps into that and he allows himself to go there, allows for really magical moments and real, like, entertaining cinema, like a good action film that you're engaged in all shapes and forms.
Jake, I was just like reading about your like career, I mean your filmography, and then you had a male Latino co-star in End of Watch. It was like
Michael, right?
Michael Peña, of course.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the first time you were having like a female Latino co-star. But then I remember like The Guilty. In The Guilty, you have like your co-star was Cristina Vidal, who's New Yorican, but we couldn't see her.
Huh.
So now this is the first time you're having a female Latina co-star.
That you can see.
You can see that she's very close to you. Yeah. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I love, and it's really moving to hear Eiza talk about her career and the opportunities that have come about now for her. And I think there are so many Latin actors that I think are extraordinary. My favorite filmmaker and filmmakers are Latin filmmakers. I mean, Pedro Almodóvar is one of my favorite filmmakers. He is my favorite. I mean,
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
and I believe that there's just something in the storytelling that just strikes me deeper than so many other cultures. Like, and so to be working with, and all the Latin actors that I've worked with have just been incredible. So more.
That you're right, you know, being a Latin filmmaker, and a lot of Latin come with a lot of heart, and they're very compelling. So it's exciting to see the Latin community sort of rise and take place and really take over. And I hope that I'm not the next movie he gets to work with more Latinos and in more interesting roles than just, you know, the stereotypical roles.
I think you mentioned, Eiza, that you really wanted to pay respect to like the first responders, and then because also some members of your family got COVID and all of that, some of them like
Passed,
yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, when you
passed?
yeah, my uncle passed
yeah.
from COVID, sadly, and it was really challenging.
in Mexico or here?
In Mexico, yeah. And, you know, because Mexico got the rollout of vaccines quite late, and so, you know, that comes with more people, sadly, going through it. And it was quite challenging, and I felt, you know, in that process of my uncle, it was intimate what paramedics and EMTs and doctors did for him. So I was quite terrified. I'm not gonna lie, when I got the script, I'm not up to the task. I don't think I can do this. I can't honor the people that do this like in the real life. And I was really scared, but I also felt like it would be a beautiful love letter for the people that did that for my family. And, you know, my mother's a medic as well, and so it felt quite close to home, and it was very scary. And I think that sometimes I look back and I was quite tense on set because I felt a lot of pressure of doing it right, and I was quite defensive about it, but I felt because it was really important for me that it felt realistic and grounded and not, you know, a bimbo walking in, playing an EM. You know, I'm terrified of the movie coming out and people seeing it, and I hope, you know, that people don't roll their eyes when they see me doing the role, but I really just loved it, and I learned so much, and I'm so inspired by them, and the more I got to learn is less about the medical jargon and more about their spirit and how they push through the fires and the amount of deaths they've seen in the last 2 years, and they still stand up every morning at 6 a.m. and put on their suit and go and do it again. And that is just the most honorable, beautiful, selfless thing that anyone can do. And I have so much admiration for them.
Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Stop! Get out!
What do you want?
Just gonna borrow it.
I got a cop shot. I gotta get him to the hospital.
I'm gonna need you to help us. Why don't you help us?
We doing hostages now?
We're not crashing into this ambulance. We got a brother cop on board.
Do you have EMT experience?
Combat triage.
You're a soldier.
Yeah. We are trying to save you.
1, 2.
California dream.
Hey! Don't you move!
You think you're so tough with that gun?
Yo, Danny, relax. I gotta get back to my wife and my son.
Does your wife know you're Rob Banks?
We're not the bad guys. We're just the guys trying to get home.
We don't get to walk off into the sunset.
Danny, everybody knows how dangerous you are.
Do you? You get your helos out of here now! I'm gonna get you back home, little brother. I'm gonna get everybody home.